This is Hofstra's Campus Conversations, the official podcast of Hofstra University's leadership team, focusing on issues of importance to Hofstra and higher education. Now welcome today's host, Hofstra President Susan Poser.
Hello and welcome to Hofstra's Campus Conversation. We have a very exciting show today. We will be discussing the 30th Annual Hofstra Gala's unique honoree, Hofstra Athletics. Joining me in this discussion is the Vice President and Director of Athletics, Rick Cole. Rick, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you've been with Hofstra for 8 years or so, and this is your first time on the podcast. I would love to take a moment first to share with our listeners your career background.
I'm in my 35th year about in college athletics, of which I've spent the last 22 as a Director of Athletics. I'm a graduate of the University at Buffalo, where I entered the world of college athletics based on an opportunity and conversation I had with the president at the time, wanting a pathway into higher education. I worked at Stony Brook University for about 7 years in external relations and revenue generation. I went on to St. John's for a stint as the head of external relations in its athletics department, which was a great learning opportunity. And then transitioned into the athletic director's chair for 9 years at Dowling College, 5 years at Iona College, and 8 awesome years here at Hofstra.
Awesome all around. Now, you've had quite a successful run in these 8 years as Vice President and Director of Athletics. What do you consider the highlights of your career here at Hofstra?
Last month was pretty great. Last month with our men's basketball team winning the CAA championship for the second time during my tenure. We won it in 2020, and that was really an incredible run in 2020 under Coach Mahalik, and Speedy Claxton was on the staff as well, and a special group of young men, only to a few days later have that opportunity paused like the rest of the country and the world because of COVID. But what a magical basketball run. What an infusion of energy for our institution and for our men's basketball program and for the Hofstra alumni throughout the country and the world to have a bit of momentum and jolt. And I think that was witnessed by the incredible media exposure and the great way that our men represented us when we competed against Alabama down in Tampa. It was so energizing and fun to watch.
I got to be there. I just thought it was great fun. They really showed up well for us and played well.
Yeah, and I think with the special nuance of Speedy Claxton, being, our all-time great and, spending 7 years on the bench as an assistant coach after an incredible and storied career in the NBA, to lead us because he is just a fabulous coach and mentor to these young men. This year we've had a lot of special. When you look at our men's cross-country team winning the CAA and Freddie winning, the championship and most outstanding in CAA
for the first time, right? For cross-country.
First time ever. Credit to the coaching staff, Coach Vince, and those men. Such an incredible performance and really special. We should be so proud of that.
Yeah, and Freddie went on to win the regionals.
Yes, and went on, and he's an All-American.
All-American from
as
Hofstra.
A freshman. And we spent a little time with him, and to see the humility and how humble and
Wonderful,
the gratitude.
Wonderful young man.
The gratitude that, he certainly demonstrated and has for this place and for his coaching staff and his teammates. Men's soccer going to the Sweet 16. We unfortunately didn't win the conference championship, which is unsettling for us because Coach Nuttall and Coach Roche and Coach Foster have created this culture of just the expectation that we're going to win.
Well, I'd been here 4 years. I'd never seen them not win the conference, so I just assumed it happened every year.
Yeah, well, I think that's a nice expectation for us to have. I mean, a little harder to deliver on and unheard of in the CAA and most conferences, for the record. What a great job going to the Sweet 16, the final 16, losing on penalty kicks in heartbreak fashion for the second time in 3 years when we also lost to University of North Carolina on penalty kicks. So women's soccer continues to be tremendous. They've had 4 championships. Talk about a program under Simon Ridioff's leadership. It's just the expectation to produce winning, productive, great citizens, as well as Frank Catalanato in baseball.
Yeah, that's amazing with all the Southern schools that we won that.
First year guy just comes up. We never won a championship in the 84-year history of Hofstra, and you look at how he did it and the way he did it. But he's a culture guy, and
he played on the Mets. So you would expect that, right?
Dr. Poser, he did play on the Mets. He also played on the...
Should we reveal our one major area of disagreement, Rick?
Yeah, I think, I'm going to yield to the president of the university and just say the Mets are a very close second team in the New York metropolitan area for Major League Baseball. And we should probably
not really deferring to the president.
It is not, actually.
I think it's actually the opposite.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I'll be better next time.
No,
I'll be better
We're
next
going to
time.
have to work on that.
And softball, we had a special day, special
Yesterday.
weekend. It feels like already a week ago, but yesterday, thanks to the institution's help and support, we renovated Bill Edwards Stadium for the first time in over 25 years. It's a long stretch, but Coach Edwards is a special man with a special legacy, and I think they have 19 conference championships. I might have that
Amazing man, lovely person too. Really
tremendous.
lovely person.
Him and his wife are just they are Hofstra. Watching them win a couple years ago in 2023 as well, and Susan Cassidy Lyke, who just came over from Malloy as the former athletic director and coach of, brought that institution a multiple College World Series. Really proud of the women's softball team. Women's lacrosse, they found a way in 2021 during very trying times to get to the NCAA tournament as well, and really our wrestling program as well. I always have to give a shout out to the individual sports like wrestling. Cross country certainly won it this year, but they have on the regular, wrestling has sent our men to the NCAA tournament
Every year, it seems like.
they're tremendous. We had 4 qualified for the conference tournament this year, so a great job's done by them. So we're really proud of them, and the 13 All-Americans during my time. I'm so impressed by the caliber of humans that we have and the pride, pardon the pun, that they take in the privilege they have to represent the jersey.
Yeah, it's interesting because we were talking about 8 years, but we spent most of the time on this year. So that just shows that we could spend probably that much time on every single one of those 8 years. So right now we're preparing for the 30th Annual Hofstra Gala, which is taking place on Thursday, May 7th. Now this is the largest philanthropic event of the year, and this year the honoree is going to be athletics. It's usually a person, but this time it's a whole division of the university. What does this honor mean to you, Rick?
I actually think that it means a great deal to our history, to our current athletics program, and our future athletics program. When you look at the storied history that we have over the history of Hofstra and Hofstra Athletics, it's really been about the people. It's really been about the student athletes that have had the privilege of what we call wearing the laundry, the uniforms, and whose shoulders we often talk about we stand on. We've had a tremendous amount of success over our history, both on the men and women's side, and that's because of the leadership of the institution, the leadership of our coaches, and specifically the men and women that have invested and poured themselves into this institution. So I think it really gives us our institution, because we are the institution's athletics program, right? We hope to be and continue to be an important spoke in the wheel of the university. I think that when we honor Hofstra Athletics, we honor Hofstra. When we look at the current landscape at a gala, the institution's most public and largest fundraiser, it gives us an opportunity to garner support while celebrating its history and our future, and the support, what we're hoping will continue to help us propel towards the success of our pillars of building champions in academics, athletics, in the community, and in life. And when you look at the ever-changing landscape of the NCAA into collegiate athletics and higher education in general,
It's crazy.
we're going to all have to continue to be creative, and we're going to be relying upon the multiple constituents that represent us and who support us. And I think that this is a great way of the institution saying that, yes, in fact, athletics is a strong spoke in the wheel, and this is the year we're going to celebrate it. And the timing of the basketball championship and March Madness.
I know that we didn't know about the championship when we decided about making athletics the honoree.
No question. And I was
coincidence.
reminded about our history this past weekend when we had 85 women's lacrosse alumni that are celebrating 50 years of women's lacrosse at Hofstra.
Yeah.
It was about people pouring themselves into an institution academically, athletically, and life after their experiences at Hofstra, and reinvesting and coming back and supporting the next generation of students and student athletes at Hofstra. Sports like the arts are an opportunity for people to gather, to experience Hofstra in a different space. And we take pride in being that magnet to the community, whether it's people that are using the facilities, attending games, cheering from afar, all those different opportunities. And I think, when we measure the impact, even just something like March Madness can have on an institution, it helps the institution it serves as a platform to celebrate Hofstra and raise awareness for the entire institution.
Well, we certainly heard from so many people who are not necessarily connected with athletics during March Madness. It had an incredible effect on the whole university. That's absolutely right. You've talked about the importance of athletics to the university and the effect that it can have on the university and all of the success that we've had. How do you think about the individual student athletes and how you are helping to prepare them for their future?
Well, I think there's a responsibility. There are some general principles in athletics, right? You can't make every decision you have for every single athlete. You have to make a decision that's best for the program, the athletic department, the team, and then the individual players, right? Otherwise, we'd be making 385 different decisions every day. But there is a responsibility we have. We have unwavering commitment to our 4 pillars of building champions in academics, which means that providing a pathway of academic success for each of our student athletes. And I think when we get to talk about our academic success, I think that's the measures and the journey and the process represent why the results are that they are. Mm-hmm. Building champions in athletics because the large majority of our athletes are here because Hofstra is a great fit. But it's also the athletic piece that this is where they want to come to participate in the sport that matters incredibly much to who they are, where they're going, and their passion in life. Then the other category is building champions in the community. We make it clear that all of us are a part of that process. But the building champions in life, we work hard with our partners at the institution to talk about pathways to creating success for them, not only while they're here, but when they're done. Working with the academic community, working with the career planning and placement programs, working with alumni right now to try to build a platform that will serve each and every student athlete in their unique journey while they're here and the skills that they will need once they are done here to attain life after intercollegiate athletics. Often you'll find that many athletes come here and there is hopes and aspirations of a career after their college experience. And we respect that. Who are we to determine what somebody's goals and life's dreams are? But we work also really hard on that and preparing them for that, but also plan B for when the ball stops bouncing or the game stops being played, and it happens to all of us, that they are in fact prepared for their pathway and for life after sport, because that matters.
So talk to us a little bit about the academic success of athletics overall.
I think we do extraordinarily well because we're not bashful about it. And I think that what we're looking for is that each individual student athlete understands that their individual success pathway and support in their academic endeavors matters. That's our first pillar. Building champions in academics is making sure that there is a standard that is clearly articulated by our coaches. I make no secret about the great talents of our senior associate athletic director, Rachel Peel, who in my opinion is the greatest.
She is the greatest.
The absolute greatest academic leader that I have witnessed in college athletics. What she has created, what she has built, her work ethic, her ability to establish, reinforce, and hold and lift and raise people to an expectation is really incredible. I was in a meeting today that talked about, our men's basketball program is 10 straight years of a perfect APR, 1,000 APR, right? That's industry leading.
Can you explain what that means?
Well, the academic progress rate is a data point that's very important to intercollegiate athletics, which determines your institutions and team's ability to be eligible for postseason play. I'm knocking wood, and people can't see that, but that doesn't seem to be a challenge for us because our expectations are so much higher that
you can't go any higher than 1,000.
No, you can't. This is understood by our coaches. They're the leaders. It's a trickle-down effect of people that are passionate about saying, hey, we have to have the courage, and we are anything but perfect. Our coaches aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. Our athletes, but we have to have the courage to chase excellence. Winning is extremely hard. Chasing excellence is extremely hard. So you have to be willing to set standards and expectations and hold yourself to those standards and expectations, and that's when I think excellence can happen. When you look at the academic performance, we used to joke about could we ever get to a 3.5, and we always raised the goal for the department. We did, and now we're just a hair under 3.6. So now, if Rachel, you're listening, well, let's just go to 3.7 if we can.
Definitely.
But it's not even about that data point,
right.
But it really is putting our student athletes in a position to realize their individual and collective greatness.
Well, and it's really important when their academic progress is reinforced by their coaches.
100%.
And I know that that's something that is done across the board.
I'll share a story, and I won't say the coach and I won't say the sport. There was a very prominent athlete. Progress reports came into play, and when I say prominent, it was our probably most valuable and the most important student athlete at the time for that sport. They just were not caught up on their work or attending appropriately, and the coach just calmly said, hey, that's all right. We all make decisions. There are consequences, and this is how the dialogue went. We make, there's consequences, so whenever you've caught up, you can start participating in practice and games again. Yeah. And the student athlete just looked like in this puzzlement. There wasn't any raised voices. It's just, hey, we know the expectations. You got to go to class. You got to do your work and do the very best you can. And if you can hold that standard for your best players, then you can hold them for all players.
Yeah. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me about athletics and about the annual gala on May 7th. I think it's going to be an amazing night with lots of great videos videos and pictures going all the way back to the history of Hofstra Athletics. A great opportunity to honor all that you've done and your predecessors. To our listeners, thank you for listening. If you'd like to find out more about the Annual Hofstra Gala, you can go to hofstra.edu/gala. See you next time.
Go Pride.
If you have questions, comments, or topic ideas for Hofstra's Campus Conversations, please email podcast@hofstra.edu. Hofstra University has produced and provides this podcast for general information only. It is created in collaboration with WRHU Studios.